Okay, let's look at some of the results of what we found when we looked into this possibility when we used our products. This is actually a golf course in California. And this guy, he was really good. He was on track. He knew the concept of trying to grow biology in the soil. That was his trick. And he was saying, oh, yeah, well, I'm doing what you guys have already done. We said, I don't think so. You take your half and we'll take our half. You put your stuff on there and we'll put our stuff and let's measure the difference. And that's what this graph is about. First of all, we noticed over his, it went up 29% in their species richness diversity. It's still only 1.8. It's California soils. For him, it's really good. This is a golf course. Pseudomonas, 42% increase. Yields of molds, which break down the organic, went up 120%, but this was the significance. Anaerobes, anaerobic biology, remember who those guys are? That's the condition where the bad guys live. I reduced it from an anaerobic condition to an aerobic condition, so that's why it went down 1,300%. Actually flipped it. Even though he was doing the best he could do from what he could buy on the market, he couldn't get there. What about the rest of the nutrients? Nitrogen went up. Why? Had the guys there producing nitrogen for him. He didn't have to put any more. 42% increase in nitrogen. So he could cut back his nitrogen on our side, at least by 40% and be equal. Calcium went up. Calcium is EQ. What's calcium for? Strength of the tissue, right? Bones, same system. Copper, iron, zinc, all nutrients that the plant needs. So from here, we can demonstrate, and we have over multiple years, that this system does feed the biology, and when we feed the biology, it feeds us. And that's what we're getting. So let's go back and examine what the plant life is made up and how this all puts together and how it all works. Okay, here's a plant. How do we make this plant grow? It's called photosynthesis. You got to have sunlight. You got to have water. And what's the other element you have to have? CO2, carbon, right? Without carbon, this is a carbon system, it doesn't go. And so when you put that through a plant and through the magic of photosynthesis, a lot of elements included there, but that's the major ones. Out comes sugar. We are a carbon molecule, like carbon beings. We have to have carbon, and we get it from the sugars produced by plants. So does animals. So does biology. That's the source of carbon. 6 carbons produced through photosynthesis. Water comes out in oxygen. And so this is the magic of plant life. And what we're trying to do is get that plant as healthy as possible, and we do that through the soil because up and above we produce these little manufacturing plants called leaves. If I put this stuff in there, all this comes out in sugar. And sugar comes out in the form of fruit, right? Wheat, fruits, vegetables, all this is what makes things yields go up, sugar. And these little leaves are manufacturing plants. The more leaves you have, the more manufacturing, or the bigger the leaf. This is one thing we always tell people to look for. What is the size of the leaf? If I increase my manufacturing square footage by 30, 40%, it makes sense I'd get a 30, 40% increase in my sugars. And if I got that much more sugar, I'm going to get that much more yield. That's the principle. It's nothing magic. It's just nature functioning the way it should be functioning. Okay, let's break it down some more. We have another element we call the 5th element. So we got 3 of them there. The 4th one is inorganic manners. This is what the industry is focusing on. Let's put a lot of nitrogen. Oh, you need some phosphorus, put some phosphorus. Oh, you got to have potassium. Whatever the industry's new trick today, they got it listed, okay? And you're putting it on not to feed the biology, but try to get the plant to grow because that's where they're making their money. If I can get the plant grow, get it up big, whatever is needed, I'm going to throw it on there because I want to get more fruit, get more yield, get more money. They don't care about the quality, they care about quantity. So they just, whatever the crop needs, you put it on, bypass the biology, not worry about it. Let's feed the plant, because it's going to feed me. So that's how they've been functioning. And the fifth element we call is the organic systems, which is paid very little attention to. Most of the attention they're talking about is the negative biologies, the bad guys. You got a bad guy on there, kill it. But when you kill the bad guy, guess what else gets killed? All the good guys. So it's an endless cycle. You see a bug, oh, got to kill it. When they don't even understand there's another bug that eats that bug. Just leave it alone. But you got to make sure you do the right thing, because the plant itself has its own defense mechanism. It lived for centuries without pesticide until the last 50 to 100 years. So how do they live all for these centuries? Never had a pesticide sprayed on them. So there's a plant mechanism that wards off all these bad biologies. And then in this fifth element, we classified all these things as part of the fifth element. Okay, so that makes up our fifth, the total fifth. Okay, let's break down the plant. If you broke it down and chemically analyze it, 95% of it's going to be made of organic systems, including sugar, starches, oils, cellulose, lignans, waxes, and all the stuff that goes into that plant. Only 5% inorganic matter. And the farming industry is focused on 5%. If I increase, 100% of this, you only get a 5% effect on the plant. If I focus on that, I'm going to get a 95% effect. And that's what we're focusing on, not over here. Even though it's important, we say that's more important than this. And what we're saying, down here where it makes sense, not up here, although it's important. So, what does the industry do now to solve this problem today? Get a good, healthy soil. Let's put on some nutrients, because we want more production. Higher yields, more money. So you got to have water and N, P, and K, the fourth element. We got sunlight's free. All I have to do is get more production. I got to hit there. Here's the soil sitting on there, happy as could be. And here comes somebody starting putting on N, P, and K. What happens to the N, P, and K? Sooner or later, problems come. And so they see an insect or see a problem. What do? I got to kill it, right? So they buy some pesticide, kill those things. In the process, yikes, you got some of my good guys down below. And so what happens in that effect? Suddenly, this is starting to be diminished. And it's like a teeter-totter in the fact that I couldn't get enough, because my soil is wearing down. I got to put more stuff over here. And worms or bugs over here, I got to put more over there. Very soon they're going back and forth. More, and then pretty soon you got more over there. And back and forth, until your soil is on the edge. And it's like, don't do anything out of the normal because I just can barely make it now. I don't want to change any system. I can just make it work. And so a lot of the growers say, I'm just making it. Don't change me, because if I do, I might lose more of my system, and I'm going to lose my production. If I lose my production, I lose my income. I don't want to take any chances. That's the education problem that we have. We have to talk about this, but you can't see what's going down in the soil. They can see only what's going up the soil. They can see the bugs. Well, you got to put more in the soil. That's what everybody tells you. And so they're trapped. So it's an education issue. That's where we need to work. Why? We're missing carbon. And they all instinctively know that. But when's the last time you sprayed carbon on? We never sprayed carbon. What are you talking about? That's what we're saying. We're educating carbon is a missing element. And how are you going to get it? Well, you can compost it. Well, I'm plowing back my crops. Yeah, but it takes you 10 years or more to get it, or if you get there at all. Compost is too expensive. Well, what's your alternative? Yeah, we got an answer. That stuff. You feed that stuff in there, and it'll make it grow. And everybody said, well, I got to test that. That sounds too good to be true, right? That's the first thing people say. I can't see what's going on there. It disappears. I got to trust you. And that's why everybody wants to test. They say, oh, I got to see it over here. Oh, yeah, I saw it down there, but what else did you do? I want to know what's done here. And say they're stuck with this, and they don't know what to do. And that's an education problem that we're working on. Uh-oh. Push the wrong button? No. This is the concept. If I stabilize my foundation, it'll stabilize my ground. And when I do that, I don't have to put this much on, and I get less of that. It just makes sense. That's how we started out. We've got to get back to it. And that's the process of putting more and more material on. Every time you add the material, or more years you use the material, the more stable the soil, or rich, or biological live, whatever you want to call it, becomes more and more advantageous to you. And that's what we've proven over the years. It takes a lot of effort to get this under display. They have to see it for themselves, because I never heard this before. Who's talking about this? They instinctively know that, but they don't know how to do that. And that's what's so different about our system. That's the boy we're working on right there. That solves the problems of agriculture. Because once we get back to healthy soil, we don't have to put much nutrients, if all. I'll show you a golf course. He eliminated all that and eliminated all that in the same time. Took him 6 years because he wouldn't believe it. I don't believe this. Yeah, you got to try it again. Okay, another year. Oh no, this must be another fluke. Oh, I got to try it again. Over and over and over again until I had to prove it to him, because he was such a skeptic. And this is the guy. Sanctuary golf course in Scottsdale, Arizona. Scottsdale, Arizona, and they want to be known as the clean spot of the desert. So they don't, no poison, no, and so one of his issues was water. He had a high water use. In fact, he was so far over the allotment. Here was his allotment. And 2001, when we started with him, he was 485 acre feet of water over his limit. 1 foot of water over all his golf course. And we said, try it, and we'll show you that if I open the soil, I'll get deeper penetration, and the water will hold there, and you don't have to water as often. And so the second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, he said, I think it works. Because he was below his allotment. It turns out the water company was watching this. They says, what the heck are you doing? And I'll show you about what happened there. 222 acre feet of water was saved on one golf course in Arizona, the desert, just by putting that product on. And by the way, he wasn't using 4 liters per acre. He was so skeptical, he used 1/8 of a liter. That's why it took so long. We said, wait a minute, I could get you the next year here if you just get more on it. After this, he said, okay, well, I believe you. And he started putting it on the rate we suggested. Until the SADA report out, we didn't know that we should have increased it even more and got faster results. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, what happened, he got Audubon silver certificate. I don't know if that means much to you, but over in the US, if you get an Audubon silver certificate, that means you are a pristine golf course. There's only one higher as gold. The only reason why he got silver, he couldn't give up his nitrogen. Even though we proved he didn't have to, he wanted to just put a little nitrogen. No pesticides, everything else was clean on that golf course for the years. The SRD rating, which is the species richness diversity, went up to 9.4. 10 is the highest you can get in soils. And he was up to 9.4. Took him 6 years, but he got there. In California, when we did that 6 week, remember it was 1.8? That's where that started here in Arizona. We got up to 9.4. Of course, that got somebody's attention. these guys. This is the largest water company in the United States. They own all the water in Arizona. Anything that runs off or in the ground, they own. It's a public company. Everybody has to buy from them. And that's what got their attention when we say that many acre feet on the golf course is, what the heck are you doing out here? And he said, well, you ought to talk to these guys and do a test. So they did, a 3-year study. Because the first year, they tested all the products that were making claims of water savings that was on the market. They invited everybody in. They had a ball field and a park. And so they invited everybody, got a little patch. And each one of these patches, they put their products on. There was one company was way out here and everybody else was bunched. Says, they got to be an outliner. That's not possible. We got to do it another year. So the second year, a bunch of these companies all was clustered together and saved water, but there's one way out there. Still got to be an outliner. We have some mechanical malfunction. Something's a problem here. Okay, third year, we're going to do it. And say, do you mind if you graph it? Because these are sensors put in the ground, so it wasn't human determination, it was actually computer controlled. And the reason why we computer control, we didn't want anybody monkeying around thinking that took the wrong notes. So these are all computer controlled systems. And what this is when the sprinklers came on the untreated of the grass. So they had a control, companies, then us. This is the line of the salt because Arizona is high salt water content. So every time you sprayed water on, you can measure higher salts. And what they're doing is measuring the electricity between two poles, and they find out what the parts per million is actually electrical, but you can convert it to parts per million. That was sprayed on the crop, and you see this thing spiked because it had several waterings. And this is done in July. The highest temperature in Arizona is in July, 48 to 50 C. And this is what's going on. You know, there are hotter days and cooler days. Okay, this is the control, and this is what happened when we measure ours. The salts dropped considerably because we put less water on. If you count the drop circles, it is significant in the desert on water because we opened that soil, built a reservoir, so the plants were more tolerant to stress and drought. And so we could use, this is all controlled by the computer.